Hi, I'm Sarah Mehmet, the social work librarian at EMU. This short presentation will introduce you to research tools and strategies you can use for your assignments in this class. I'm going to start with a brief welcome and intro to library support, talk about preparing to do your searching, and we'll focus on the Social Work 222 Library Research Guide and the resources there that'll help you do the abbreviated literature review and history policies and advocacy paper assignments. As a social work librarian, I'm available to help you with library research and other questions. You can always get in touch with me, and when we look at the library guide, I'll show you how to use my appointment link to make a in-person or Zoom appointment with me. We also have lots of other library support that you can use whenever is convenient for you to get your questions answered. So I find that it's really helpful before going to my keyboard or my phone and starting a search to take a pause and get ready to do the research, that saves time in the long run. So for an assignment, that means pulling out your syllabus, reading your assignment, and figuring out what information do you really need to find? What questions do you need to answer? Are there specific requirements about the types of sources you can use? Maybe the publication date for certain questions? Or any other guidelines that might be used in this particular class. So once you've got that information, you can go to the Social Work 222 Research Guide. You can get to it if you're in Canvas and in the class, look on the navigation for the link that says Library Guide, and that takes you directly to the guide for this class. You can also find it from the library website. It has both sources that the library subscribes to that we pay for that you'll need to log in to access, and also some general websites. And these are all resources that students have found really useful for these assignments in the past. So we're going to start with two resources that you can use for the abbreviated literature review assignment, the Encyclopedia of Social Work and eSearch. So let me switch over to the guide. And this is the main page of the library guide. And under academic and professional reference sources, the first one, Encyclopedia of Social Work, is the key source we'll use. So the Encyclopedia of Social Work is on this Oxford academic website that the library subscribes to. In the content in the Encyclopedia of Social Work is produced by the National Association of Social Workers. One key tip is when you get here and you want to search, don't use the search box across the top that searches across a lot of things beyond the Encyclopedia of Social Work. Scroll down and on the left and use a search box that says search in this collection. So I'll do an example of a topic, food insecurity, that somebody might be exploring for this class. The other tip is after you do a search, the results display further down the page. So I need to scroll down. And you'll see in the Encyclopedia of Social Work, it doesn't find thousands of articles on a topic. It'll have a few key good general articles on a topic with a social work perspective. So I'll just try the first one, food insecurity and nutrition programs in the United States. It has some basic information, when it was first written, when it was updated. I could download a PDF. I could use a citation tool to help me cite it in APA format. Read the abstract to get an idea of what's in there. I could also use the contents and maybe jump to a certain section. I know I need a definition of the topic. I could jump to that and get that. One thing you'll definitely need to do for the abbreviated literature review is find information on the credentials of an author. And the encyclopedia gives me just a little information here. One thing I can do, I can see the author is associated with the University of South Carolina. What I would do to find information on a person, I'll just do a general web search. You can use Google. I'm using DuckDuckGo. whatever search you like to use. Because if a person is affiliated with a university, you should be able to find them on their university website. And I am finding a page from the University of South Carolina, a specific section, and I can start to see some information on this author's credentials. I could use one of these links to get a little more information about them as well. If you find a person on a general website that claims they have an academic affiliation and you can't find that on their university website, ask us in the library. We'll see if we can help you track that down. That might be a red flag to look out for as well. You can use the one other link here, Google Scholar. We'll do a search of scholarly sources in Google, and I could see what else this author wrote. So that's a little other information about what this author has done and related to their credentials. So back on the guide, the next section from these main links on the left, articles and books, has a search box for the library eSearch. So this is the main search of almost everything the library has available. And I can do the same kind of search as a start to find articles, books, videos, what we have in the library. And you can see this finds a lot, finds well over 500,000 results. I might choose then to make the search more specific. So for example, if I want to be sure it focuses on the US, I'm going to add United States, and I'm putting that in quotes so I can find that exact phrase. And after I do that, I'm getting a different, more narrow set of results. I can see some books. I can also use these filters on the left to focus my results. Maybe what I'd really like to do is read articles. I can click on articles. And I'll use this first one as an example. If I'm curious about this Food is Medicine initiative, I'll click on that and it brings up some tools. This also has a citation tool where I could copy and paste this into a list of references. It defaults to the APA format. I can get links to the full text of the article, and I can continue to scroll down and get a description, a summary to read and figure out, is it worth my time to look at this full article? So that's a few key sources to use for the abbreviated literature review. When you're ready to work on your history, policies, and advocacy paper, you can also use those sources, the same sources you found from Encyclopedia of Social Work and eSearch. I'm going to show you two other links on this guide that will help you answer more of the questions that you need to answer for this paper. And I'll start with the CRS reports on the government information section of the guide. So I'm going down to the section Government Information and Statistics. And the first link, Congressional Research Service or CRS reports. So this is an office that prepares reports for Congress. So for our senators, our representatives, their staff. The CRS is not affiliated with the Democrats or the Republicans. They're nonpartisan. So the reports they prepare should be neutral and fact-based. When I've connected to the CRS search, I can type in, I don't have to fill out everything. I can just type in a basic topic. I'm using food insecurity again. And oh, I see a report, food insecurity among college students. That's an interesting population. And let's look at this as an example. I can download a PDF of the report. They have a summary, again, to see what's in there. I also like to look at this contents to get an idea of what's in there. Reading one report might give me an idea for more things to search for. So I'm noticing this mention of SNAP. I see that also here, SNAP. I know that that's a federal program for food support. Maybe I'd like to see if there's a report on SNAP as well, and I can try that as a search. Um, oh, I am finding something where the word SNAP is being used in a different way. I'm also seeing some reports that say archived, which means that they are older or possibly out of date. I can use these options on the left under CRS product status, and I'll say click on active, and then I shouldn't see any of those archived results. And I can get more up to date, see SNAP and nutrition title program, something from 2026 or 2025, some more recent reports that might help me learn more about that federal program for food support. So that was a really quick look at the CRS report. The next resource we'll look at is on this policy and advocacy groups page, this think tank search. So this is a Google search that doesn't search the entire web. It searches just the websites of groups that do research and policy work on many different topics. So it's more focused. You're not getting as many just sort of random web pages. And I'll do, maybe I want to find out more about food insecurity and college students, so I'll put those in the search um, and see what kind of results I get. First one, college student food insecurity in Colorado, a different state, but maybe interesting to see what they're doing. See, there's a PDF and there's information about this report. So whenever I'm finding a website that I'm not familiar with, whether it's through this search or elsewhere, I want to know more about this organization. I might use their about page to see what they say about themselves. But of course, it's really useful to find out what others say about them. So again, I'll just do a basic web search. I've got their website, which I've already seen. I'd be curious to look at the Wikipedia page to get an idea of what's the general perception of this organization. And it also gives some references that may help me understand this organization's perspective and how it's generally perceived. Back on the guide, I also have a link to this media bias fact check website, which is one tool that can help you look up an organization or publication and get an idea of what its typical bias or level of reliability may be. So there are a lot of other sources on this guide. These are some key ones that are most often used. The other thing I want to point out while we're looking at the guide, every page has a section Get Research Help, which links you to our general librarian help, including the Ask a Librarian 24/7 chat, which is a live chat with a real librarian, a person like me, not a bot. We're able to provide it 24/7 because we work with a cooperative of other university libraries. You will also find my links to email me, to use my appointment scheduler to set up a time to meet with me either in person or over Zoom. The last thought I want to share is that research shows that asking for help is a learning strategy used by successful students. So please get in touch with me or use our other library help whenever you have questions or get stuck. We really want you to succeed in your assignments and to learn research skills that you can use in this class, other classes, your career, and in your life. So whether you have a question or just want to say hi, I hope I will meet you either in person or online. And Thank you for listening today.